If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Just start going out and making one. Talk to people. Start getting out of your comfort zone. Nothing good happens in the comfort zone. Nothing. You have to push yourself. You have to go for greatness. If you don't do that, you're going to be in a really bad position.
Step into the world of success with Your Brand Amplified, the ultimate podcast designed to unravel the intricacies of thriving businesses. I'm your host, Annika Jackson, and I'm on a mission to uncover the stories, strategies, and secrets that have propelled entrepreneurs and business leaders to success. I am so fortunate to have somebody who became a top podcaster very, very quickly, who's on the same ad network as me, which is so cool, but also has had a career in Division I football and then into the NFL, being a keynote speaker, an author, so many other things, Marques Ogden, that you're pouring into the world to help people. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Nika, how are you today?
I'm good and really good now that we're having this conversation finally. So let's talk about your background. I was also raised in a single parent home. So talk about how that created some values in you and how you took that into the rest of your life and career.
So being raised in a single parent household by a single dad was absolutely one of the most important things that me and my brother, Jonathan Ogden, Jonathan went to the NFL as well, 12-year career, first ballot Hall of Famer. We were raised in a house with rules and structure and how to, be very, kind to other people and kind to women and respect ourselves and education over sports. So having our father as our leader, protector, best friend, teacher, advisor, all things you can think of. Again, all of those things you can think of. It was great. And I truly believe that young men need their dads. I think women need their dads as well. I mean, I think kids need their parents overall. Right. But I really believe that young men truly need their dads to kind of help show them how to be a better man. Can moms do it? Absolutely they can. Absolutely they can. But I can speak from our experience, having our dad as the example to follow, and then also having our maternal grandfather to follow his example. Because when my parents divorced and my mom left, her parents were in Washington, D.C., where we grew up, and they were big in helping to raise us, huge. And so they actually sided with our father, and they were just such a very important part of both my brother and my life. And it's crazy because we were their only two grandchildren total. And so at the end of the day, they really have had some really great things to do in that regard. So again, between my father showing both my brother and I how to be men, and then having such a close relationship with our maternal grandfather, it was huge for us growing up.
That is not a story that you hear often when we talk about single parent households. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not. And especially back in the 80s, it was even more uncommon, I believe, to have a single dad raising boys. And it was great, though. I mean, like I said, he taught us how to cook, how to clean, how to take care of ourselves. I mean, I got divorced in 2022 unexpectedly, and I'm very candid with people. Living now in my home, I was able to buy my dream home with a lot of hard work, dedication, podcast, growth, business, all these different things, right? Branding. We were able to get to this point. And then now I've lived here for 2 years by myself. I bought the house in May 2023. I have a cleaner that comes once a month, which is fine, but I cook for myself, clean for myself, do my own laundry,
Mm-hmm.
vacuum my stuff, fold my clothes. I actually met a young lady. We were talking about this. She's like, God, laundry, like this piles up. I said, oh, it's okay. I said, I like doing laundry. She's like, well, I don't mind washing. I just hate folding. I said, shh, don't tell anybody, but I don't mind folding. I'm okay with that. She's like, oh my God, we're aligned. We were just laughing, stuff like that. But anyway, my point is that we learned are so many things from our father, right? So many things from our grandfather that are just so vital. And again, as I'm now 44-year-old single male in his own place, living his life between finances, business, life, taking care of yourself, all these things. Without our dad being my teacher, there's no way I'd be where I'm at today as a man. There's just no way.
Yeah, I mean, I see it today in working. I teach part-time at USC, and I have a lot of student athletes in my classes. And some of them they're not on LinkedIn yet. They might have some NIL deals, but they don't know enough about their own personal brand, how to take care of things, how to structure things. And obviously, this is a different world because now when you were coming up, social media wasn't the way it is now, right? When you were coming up, the NIL deals weren't the same. But you had to also, as athletes, having the structure, understanding the value of the hard work, but also how to take care of your home, how to take care of your finances and stand on your own 2 feet post-career is not something that everybody is able to do. And I would say you've done it in spades. And I think a lot of it's probably attributed to that support that you had growing up, somebody there in your corner to show you the way.
Oh, absolutely, Anika, because again, like you said, there's a lot of moving parts. When I was playing college football at the Howard University, Bison, there were no NIL deals. There were not NIL deals. There were not endorsement deals. You weren't even allowed to have a job. Like you couldn't work. You couldn't make money. So we had to find ways to scrounge. Like during the summer, you had to get like your tickets from the football office to be able to eat at the hospital because the cafeteria was closed down for the summer. So you couldn't eat not in the cafeteria. You had to go and eat at the hospital with tickets. And that's what it was like. And you literally could not get a job. You couldn't work. You couldn't do anything. And so what was really compelling for us at that time was we had to learn how to have a personal brand. Even though there was no social media, there was nothing at that time. I remember the first time I got an account was a MySpace account. Never forget that. Tom on the MySpace board,
Yep.
right? Right. That was the MySpace
Your first
account.
friend.
Right. Your best friend, right? And so again, that was my first ever, social media account. And at that time, I was, it was 2005, 6, somewhere in that range. So I didn't know anything about LinkedIn or how to brand yourself or Facebook or Instagram or any of these things. To me, personal brand is a lot like what I would call your character, is that what you think about yourself, right? And what people say about you when you're not in the room. And your character and your branding, your branding, even though you weren't getting paid for it, it was everything back then. And it's everything today now as well, but even more back then because you had to be because again, they weren't looking at social media to kind of gain insight to who you are. Like, they were talking to people. They were talking to your coaches. They were talking to your teachers. They were talking to people that, work the lunchroom where you go to college and your university. They were talking to teammates. They were talking to anybody and everybody around your vicinity. They could talk to gain insight to who you were. So if you didn't take care of your brand at that time, it was really hard to kind of like, put on this like a fake facade on. So you can post all these things on social media that you're a perfect person or you try to be a perfect person, all this stuff, right? And it's still going to look. But if you do it enough, you're like, oh, okay, it's a good person, right? But back when we were coming up playing sports, it was talking to real people to gain insight to who you are or who you were as an athlete.
Mm-hmm. And people often say athletes and military people make really good employees. But you have your own business. You have multiple things going on. What was it like when you stepped out? Because you obviously have the discipline. So if you decide to become an entrepreneur or work for somebody else, you can do either. But what was it like making that transition when you did leave the NFL? Do you feel like you were adequately prepared? You already had things lined up and in place? As a business owner myself, I can tell you that finding the right people to hire is absolutely brutal. You post a job, get flooded with hundreds of resumes, but somehow still can't find anyone with the actual skills you need. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter finds amazing candidates for you fast. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/work. Here's what makes ZipRecruiter different. Their smart technology actually identifies the top talent for your specific roles super quickly. The moment you post your job, their matching system starts showing you qualified candidates immediately. Plus, you can reach out to your favorite candidates right away using their pre-written invite to apply messages. No more waiting around, hoping someone will notice your post. Ditch the other hiring sites and let ZipRecruiter find what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/work. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/work. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Absolutely not. When I left the NFL in 2007, 2008, I had no purpose, no passion, no plan, which is why for about 6 months, I struggled immensely with painkiller addiction, alcohol, nightlife, gambling, just excessive behavior that was defiling my body in every way you can think of. And we had just lost our father in 2006. So for me, it took me to really get to a low point. I remember waking up one morning, it was probably like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't even remember getting the tattoo on my right bicep, like not a little tattoo, like a massive, almost full tattoo. And I drove to the location to get the tattoo. And I said to myself, wow, I am endangering myself. I am endangering others. I need to get my act together. I need to stop all this defilement of my body as far as the excessive drinking and all the things I was doing. I need to be more of a good human being like our father taught us to do. Yes, football's out of your life. Yes, you've lost your dad, but it doesn't mean you have to lose your self-respect, your dignity, and who you are as an individual. You stop ruining your character and stop ruining your reputation. Yeah. So that's what I did. And then I got into construction at that time, about 6 months after I left the NFL, give or take. And I started small. We struggled. We were a demolition concrete contractor. It was really hard. It was not easy. We struggled immensely, but we were good at branding because once I stopped doing all those things to myself, I was really good at connecting with people and sales. Because again, back then, there was some LinkedIn stuff that was very early on, but people really weren't using that. It was more like, going to actually ABC events or mixers in downtown Baltimore or in Baltimore County, going to GC events, meeting people, getting them to like you, all these things. And, over time, we just built a reputation. My character, our company's character, became very well respected. And we then, just with hard work and one of my mentors going out of business, our brand stepped in and we became the largest African-American owned subcontractor in the area of site work, which is like earth moving and excavation in Baltimore City, the state of Maryland, and in the surrounding states. And we were up to about a $25 million a year company at that time, it's end of 2011. But unfortunately, Anika, I ended up winning an award because I was named the Minority Contractor of the Year for the state of Maryland. And that award, which actually sits right on my wall, it's the Pioneer Award. We won that award, and that award was the beginning of me ruining my life. And it's actually kind of crazy that I have 2 little plaques on my wall in my office. I've got one where it says anyone could be a father, but it takes a special person to be a dad or daddy. because our father got us that. We got that in Virginia Beach in like 1988 when our parents divorced. So I've had them out for what, almost 40 years. And then the other plaque is from 2011, and it was May 19th, 2011. And again, when we won that award, everything started to like really just go downhill. And so once that happened, it was the beginning of the end for me.
Wow. So what happened? I mean, you've obviously bounced back. You then went on to write a book, Sleepless Nights, right? And then you had a speaking academy. You've had a number of different business endeavors and some shows since then. But what happened with that company, and what did you learn in that moment that you're able to take forward?
So the company ended up going bankrupt when we spent about $3 million of our money over budget. And I exhausted all of our financial resources, my cash, my equity in my home, our bank line, everything. And when the developer and the general contractor denied our change order, which again, I did a bunch of work without signed documentation, all my fault, very idiotic, but I was just so arrogant. Well, I'm the minority contractor of the year and Pioneer Award winner. We're 25 million. They're not going to hurt us. We're the best. And it was business. It was straight business. And we ended up losing absolutely everything because on December 23rd, 2012, the bank called me about 8 o'clock that night and said, Marques, we've been meeting for about 5 hours. We've decided to shut Caden down. And we're saying, and not only shutting Caden Premier Enterprises down, we're shutting it down. And then come January 1st, early part of January of 2013, we're coming after everything you own. And I ended up having to shut my business down, lost everything. Home was foreclosed on. All my cash except for $400 is all that I had left when I got to Raleigh. When I got to Raleigh, both cars were repossessed in the same day when we got to Raleigh. No friends, very little family, no really where to go. Thank God that year, the NFL set up the NFL Retired Players Association through that CBA, the 2013 Collective Bargaining Agreement, and they formed the NFL Retired Players Association. I remember sitting down with Andre Collins, and he was in the DC office. And Marques, if you're having hardship, if you know anybody having hardship, please tell them to fill out the Gene Upshaw Trust Assistance Fund documentation. We can get you funding. We won't pay you, but we'll pay your creditors. And when I left that office and I went down to Raleigh, I dropped my pride. I reached out to them, and thank God they approved me for a 4-month grant. They paid 4 months of our bills to our creditors. Without that, Anika, I go homeless because I was fired from a job when I shortly got to Raleigh. The next day, I go for another job, get fired from that job 5 days later. I get fired 2 times in the same week. And the only job I could get was a custodian working in downtown Raleigh for $8.25 an hour on the graveyard shift from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. And I ended up hitting rock bottom on my shift where somebody's trash, rotten meat, nasty, protruding, maggot-filled garbage got all over me. And when that happened, I realized if I was going to move forward and fix my brand, my life, I was going to have to accept, not acknowledge, accept, which is a much stronger word, which means that you're going to own it, you're going to fix it, you're going to move on. I needed to accept how I got to this point. And once I accepted it, and once I said, okay, I've got to go ahead and make a move here, then I ended up getting my life back. I started to do keynote speaking. That went very, very slow for the first 2.5 years. Didn't get a paid job for the first 2.5 years. Then in 2015, wrote our first book, Sleepless Nights, the NFL, A Business and a Family, wrote that book. And then we got our first paid speaking job shortly thereafter, that in April 2016.
Wow.
And then I went and got our second job with the Buffalo Bills in 2017. And then I ended up going to meet Mel Robbins in Boston. I was on her audiobook, Kick Ass with Mel. And between Mel coaching me and teaching me, and we went through an NFL program called NAPSA, I was able to learn the business and fix my issues of like trying to always be about me, all this stuff, right? And I learned how to actually build a brand and enhance a brand. And so in the last now, would that be 7 years, we've spoken for over 80. It's actually 86 Fortune 500 companies in 7 years. Of about 20 or so are Fortune 100, like Home Depot, Intel, New York Life, MetLife, Liberty Mutual Insurance, Cisco. We've had some powerhouses, Access Advisors, Equitable, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and we've been very, very fortunate. But again, everything started to go better in my life when I stopped saying it was somebody else's fault, when I stopped just acknowledging things, when I started accepting things. That's when things got better.
Yeah.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Yeah, those moments when you just release, you say, okay, here's the reality, here's where I am, here's my part in it. And you also really try hard and with intention to do what you want to do next. These are some of the most important stories that we don't always share with people. And, I've been in similar situations. So I really appreciate the fact that you're being so open and transparent. I think it's important for people to see, even you can be at the highest of high, you can be in the NFL, you can be the best Black contractor in Maryland or in Baltimore, and then you can still have things that derail your path. But these are probably also lessons that help to have a much more stable base for what you're doing now.
Oh, absolutely. Because in my opinion, without the hard lessons that I had to go through, there's no way I could coach people to help them push through their hardships, push through their hard times, and help them to potentially avoid huge catastrophic mistakes. People are going to make mistakes. That is life. That's going to happen. What I tell my clients is hire me so you don't end up like the 2012, 2013 version of me. Bankrupt, broke, not knowing how you're going to pay the next bill, not having any relationships, any friendships, any business associates, no network that you connected with, that you could go to for assistance. Like in 2013, I didn't have anybody. The NFL just formed that new city, which was awesome, right? But I moved to Raleigh. I didn't know anybody except for my ex-wife and her family. I didn't know a soul here. It was nothing. And so it was truly a very hard road I had to go through. So I tell my clients, hire me so you don't end up like me. Does that mean you're not going to make mistakes? Absolutely not. What it means is you should mitigate mistakes, and you should also look to hopefully avoid potentially catastrophic, life-altering or earth-shattering mistakes that, unfortunately, a lot of people don't bounce back from.
Yeah. So what does your day-to-day look like now?
It's different. So we do a lot of, great things as far as, what we work on with, podcasts and outreach and things of that nature. Just constantly always, making things, move and groove, stuff like that. So very, very fortunate, in that regard, that people love what we do and what we're at and all that kind of stuff. But, we coach people, We do a lot of work with our team on podcasts, and we go on podcasts. Our team is amazing. So we have like our inner game community and our inner game scale room people can be a part of. We do a lot of things for speaking and coaching and consulting. And so we're just very, very busy with like a lot of the professional development work and love it. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. But again, we've had to work through a lot of struggles and a lot of hardship and a lot of bad, dark days to get to this point.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And this has led to you have a new book as well. So that's another whole thing that you put time and energy into. Harnessing the Power of Expertise, which I imagine tells a lot about your journey.
Yeah. I mean, what happens is you learn how to really position yourself and talk about things, it's really important, on that regard. So it's a very, very fortunate. It's very, very, I tell people all the time, you have to learn how to push forward and you have to learn how to really get in there and do what you need to get done. Because at the end of the day, it's such a huge, huge facet because I tell people, in order to move forward in life, you have to really push through a lot of the hardship to get to that level. It's just the way it is. And if you don't do that, you're not going to get to a position of where you want to go and where you want to be in your life.
Yeah. So what is that first piece of advice that you give to somebody who is trying to get off the path that they're on right now?
Focus on what you do well and focus on your strengths. I call it mastering self-awareness. In order to get yourself out of a funk, you have to figure out what it is that you do well and help you to get yourself into a better state of mind. We can always tell ourselves you don't do this well, you don't do that well, so on and so forth. But what you have to start doing is you have to start looking at what you do well and what you do get accomplished. When you can do that, that's when the magic starts to happen on a larger scale. So I tell people all the time, you have to start looking and focusing on what you do well.
Nice. And when you do that, then what's your next step?
So from there, then talk to your network that you have good connections with and let them know what it is that you want to do. Again, that's big. If you don't have a network at that point, just start going out and making one. Talk to people, start getting out of your comfort zone. Nothing good happens in the comfort zone. Nothing. You have to push yourself. You have to go for greatness. If you don't do that, you're going to be in a really bad position. So I tell people, you got to learn to get out there, go for it, and don't allow anybody else to take you off your path.
Yeah, fantastic. I know you have more good advice, but I want to save it for people to buy your books, look at your coaching services, and also follow your podcast. Because I know you enroll a whole bunch of that. So, Marques, where do you go from here? I feel like you've had these ups and downs. You've had multiple types of businesses. You have so many things right now. You're a mentor, you are a coach, you're a consultant, brand ambassador, speaker, you have your podcast, you're an author, you are an owner of Grind Goods. Do you see that there's going to be a limit in your capacity?
That's a great question. And honestly, with the team that we're building around, we are really working on me putting my energy and my time where it needs to be most with these different businesses. And that's why we're building a structure. And we have a great partnership with a company called CRM Done Better. And that partnership has been huge for us because it has allowed us to build systems and get centralized with our stuff. And by doing that, that's when the magic starts to really happen. So we're really excited about that in that regard. And we tell people all the time, it's so important. It's so vital that you never, ever put yourself in a position where you think you know everything, because you don't know everything. But once you realize that, then you gain the biggest thing of all, which is your vulnerability. And that is your superpower. So learn to accept that you don't know everything, and it's okay to ask for help.
Fantastic. We are going to link to your website in the show notes. But Marcus, I always ask one last question. Do you have a favorite quote, mantra, verse, poem, family motto?
One of my favorite quotes by Aristotle. Actually, you know what? That's a good one. But I'm going to go with Bruce Lee's quote, okay? Never tell your mind negative thoughts in a joking manner. Your body cannot dissimulate the difference. Words cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. So choose wisely how you talk to yourself.
I don't know that I've heard that one in full, but that's really good. Thank you for offering that.
I live by that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Amazing. Well, I know we're going to continue following your journey. We'll have you back on, perhaps have you on one of my other podcasts as well. But I appreciate the time you've given out of this schedule that you have today to be on Your Brand Amplified, and can't wait to keep following what you're doing. Thanks,
Anika. You were awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to everybody who's watching this episode or listening to it on your favorite platform. Check the show notes, get the links for all the things that Marcus is doing to put good into the world and help make your life, your business a little better. Thanks for listening or watching to this episode of Your Brand Amplified. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast listening platform. And if you want to learn more, check us out at yourbandamplified.com.
If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.